I'm Michael Klam. This is Conversations with Poets. We're in our second season and branching out a little bit. We're going to go to performance spaces around town, head out to the branch libraries too. And today we're at Malcolm X with Gill Sotu, veteran, DJ. I see you as a poet, right?
Thank you.
A multifaceted poet, because you don't just do performance, you write also for the page, you write in a varied style. And so I'm looking forward to talking to you because we have a long history.
Yes,
we worked together over there at the San Diego Art Institute for a long time doing shows, and there you were a DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you also, as a musician, you're starting to work with violinists, guitar players, Lee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, did you, when you started writing poetry, did you really start writing as a veteran? And you were on a boat in the middle of the ocean?
Yes, because while I was in the Navy, it was the first time that really I was surrounded by water with a whole lot of time and a whole lot of water around me. It was the first time I started reading books that really, no, I wouldn't say that. It was the first time I started reading like philosophy books and books that were nonfiction that were not assigned to me. Before that, all I read was fiction books, which was very inspiring. But after that, I started really getting into just thought and trying to shape who I was. And that led to a lot of thoughts, and it just started leading to poetry.
Yeah, I was born in Derry, Northern Ireland, and my mom's whole side of the family's in Strabane. Ireland's this tiny little island surrounded by ocean and giant waves and heavy storms, and we produce all these Nobel Prize winners, right? Nothing much to do when you're isolated but to write a good story, and then you get out and tell that story. But you actually, when you first started writing way back, you were writing like short stories that were kind of like Stephen King-esque, right? Do you still, when you read, well, actually, tell me, what about that? Like, when you first started writing, you did not write poetry, and then when you started writing on the boat, you weren't necessarily writing to perform either.
No, I wasn't writing to perform. I was just writing in my, not even a journal. I was just writing to write. And then sometimes, I thought all my life I was going to be a visual artist. So people would hire me to draw pictures of their significant others or whatever. And then for some reason I started just writing little blurbs for it. And they were liking that. And they're like, hey, can you write, like a little poem or something? I started doing that and writing in my own book. And so that kind of started me really getting into writing and everything. But I was always a lover of books, because my sister left when I was real young. It's just me and my sister. She went to college. She's 5 years older and went to college a year early. So it was like junior high and high school, I was by myself most of the time. My mom was always working. So my love, besides, my friends and stuff like that, but at home, it's books.
You're in a book, right? A good story.
Yeah. And I was shy to, really show it to anybody. So I would just show a particular friend or whatever, and just to get their feedback, and they always loved it. So I just kept doing it on the side.
You get that dopamine of praise.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man, we need that.
Did you have a good teacher? Did you have someone who made you feel like I can do this?
That's a great question. I had a teacher. It's like one of the few teachers I can remember their names. It's Mr. Shimabuku. If you're out there,
let's go.
Hit me up. Gill Sotu. It's another name back in the day, but the Mr. Shimabuku, I had written it's just an account of something that had happened to me, and he raved about it and used it as an example for years on. But I still remember that as that spark that was like, hey, maybe I have some talent in this writing stuff. So you kind of, sometimes when you're trying to get to that next level or to push yourself, you have to look back at some of the evidence in your life. Even in junior high, I wasn't a great student. I was an average student. Some things I excelled at, like English and art. But my one of my teachers asked me to kind of kick off the show of our graduation, junior high graduation, to welcome everybody, to talk about what was going on, and to just greet everybody, and for no other reason than she just saw something in me. And I think that speaks to my performance style and my performance ability,
Yeah. that first moment in front of an audience, you know, you must have been 10 minutes before you were making it to the front at high school, right?
No, junior high.
Junior high school, yeah. So there's kind of that, it's that pride and that feeling of, wow, I've been chosen to do this.
Yeah.
Then the work of getting ready for it.
Yeah.
And then those feelings right before you get to the stage,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But all of this, those teachers, your mentors, got you to where you are now.
Yeah, definitely.
So high praise and thanks to
Right.
all the teachers, yeah.
Oh, teachers are so important.
Yeah, so why spoken word? Like did you, when you had those initial at the mic in front of a big audience moments, why spoken word? Why did you end up doing performance?
I didn't even know about spoken word or performance poetry until it was right here at the Hillcrest Cinema. I was in the Navy and I saw this movie called Slam, and it was starring Saul Williams.
If it is up to me, I'll die tomorrow 1,000 times in an hour and live 7 minutes later.
Where'd you get that from?
I'm sorry.
The poem you did out there. Did you write that?
Yeah.
One of the highlights of my life is the fact that they just had the 25th or 30th anniversary of it. I think 25th. I don't want to make myself too old, but they had the 25th anniversary and they got all the cast together, and I just wrote this long post on the Instagram, and then Saul Williams started following me. So that was like kind of just big for me, only because it changed my life, because I never knew that poetry could become alive like that. You know, before it was all on the page. I'd never seen somebody do it with such passion, you know. And so yeah, as soon as I watched that movie, I was in my car in the underground parking, and I just started writing, and I just couldn't stop. Then I started performing, and it just went on from there.
Yeah, and you don't put yourself into any category, right? You're not
No.
necessarily a slam poet or a performance poet. You kind of do it all.
I try to do it all, yeah.
And even in your mentorship, your reading, you're kind of more thinking about memory, not just to memorize poems, but like
Yeah.
going back and how do you access these feelings and these thoughts that you had way back,
Yes, my philosophy is really trying to be the most well-rounded artist. You know, you can focus, and I think that you'll get further in that particular focus if you focus on a particular style of poetry. Like if I only wanted to do haikus and I was just kick-ass with haikus, then I could try to be like the best. But for me, for my interests, I like things to be different. Like every day in my work life as an artist, I make my living as an artist. Every day is completely different in what I do, right? So I try to, and I even encourage other poets, you know, don't just read your poems to audiences that you know are going to receive it well. You know, go to different other poetry events and venues or places where poetry isn't usually done, and see how you do there. And if you could do it in lots of different places and still have that confidence, man, you're going to feel like you can take on a lot.
What about the rules, like haiku as a set of rules, right? Do you feel that you should adhere in a specific part of the genre to the rules that are kind of set there?
Yeah, I do, only because I think you get freedom with rules. It's a weird thing to say, but like when you only have 3 minutes and 10 seconds to make your point known, and you got to be the most creative you can be, then it makes you kind of chisel away all the stuff that's not working. Same thing with haiku, same thing like if you're working with marble, you only have that one piece of marble, you know, that you're going to really fine tune into whatever it is your creation. And I think people try to run away from rules, but when you do that, like same thing with music, you can make music that harmonially doesn't make sense, and maybe a couple people will like it, but I think that if you can create something new and fresh within those rules, it really brings things to life, you know?
And music is a big part of your craft, your process as a DJ, but also working with musicians.
Yeah, I
do
work
you
with a
have
lot of
any
musicians.
do you have any favorite moments, people you just love to work with?
Well, I got a chance to perform with the San Diego Symphony I've gotten the chance to work with some great artists here in San Diego and all over. Anytime, I think music enhances poetry naturally. Poetry is fine without it, but when you can combine different disciplines, anytime you could combine like art and poetry, like we did, like music and poetry, whatever. I was even thinking like, how can I do like magic and poetry and like combine that with someone doing like visual magic and me weaving words and making that magical. Like that stuff really interests me. Again, I like diversity of thought and experience, so I'm always hungry to try to do that for myself.
Make the audience go wow with some magic and some words. I love it.
Why
Yeah.
not?
When we were working together on the Poetry and Art Project over at the San Diego Art Institute, you were always paying attention. So you were running music and you were DJing, but when a poet got up to the microphone, you were ready, and then you put on a song that made perfect sense with what the poet had said somewhere in the poem. Yeah, so it's kind of, you're sort of always paying attention, right? Yeah. Hey, I'm going to say a couple of orgs here. Tell me about the work. Old Globe Theater.
Old Globe Theater is really my heart for the city. It helps me to really access a lot of the city in ways that it wouldn't be impossible. It would be more difficult to do. So honestly, in a given week, I can be, and I am, in like a homeless shelter, a recovery center, dealing with veterans, going out to a prison, going out to a juvenile detention center, just to high schools and colleges and everything. So, and they've commissioned me a few times to write pieces, to write plays, and to like host or curate experiences, poetic experiences, on their campus and outside of their campus. So one of the best things that they enable me to do is they fund me to be able to like give opportunities to other artists, like being able to interview you for the Poetry, and other great artists around really the States. I was interviewing people from all over the States, great poets.
Poetry.
With the Poetry, right? I was able to do the Juneteenth presentation, and they trust me enough to say, you book the artist, we don't need to approve of it and everything, and to be able to give them a good amount of money for working as an artist to come and be on a big stage. Like anytime that an organization, this is for all the organizations, anytime you all want to pay me to really put some people on and to give people shine, like it's my jam. It's my jam, man. Peanut butter.
Cheers to the Old Globe for feeling the same way that we do about poetry, right?
Yeah.
All right, San Diego Writers Festival.
San Diego Writers Festival. Well, I said the Old Globe is my heart, and I want to expand it because I have a big heart. So I'm going to expand it to all these orgs, right? Because I think I'm going to get in trouble later. But San Diego Writers Festival, we have a love relationship. I love what they do for writers. I love that, I've been living here, close to 20 years, and this is one of the organizations that really want to just help and pour into writers, right? So doing all the, and to make this event free, and to make this event something to where people can go do workshops and listen to other speakers, and so they've made me their poet in residence, and I'm honored by the opportunity, and I want to keep working with them as long as they'll have me.
Yeah, poet in residence forever.
Yeah, till they find someone else, I'll accept that.
TEDx.
TEDx has been great.
Prologue. We all start off with such soft hands, barely able to grasp onto anything. When my daughter places her tiny brown fingers upon my face, I'm telling y'all, no quest or request is insurmountable.
That's just been a blessing. It's been a huge stage and been able to do some of my best work, because every time I've done something for TEDx, I've written something original, and I always try to push the boundaries of what I can do and how I can present work, because I never want to, again, going back to just the variety, I never want to do things exactly the same way.
Nothing like a commission or a job to get you back on the page, right? To get
When
the work
you,
done.
yeah, when you are commissioned, I feel this is my dream, but I think it's this way for another artist. Whenever you can get commissioned to do work that you would already do for free, that's the most beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Okay, one more.
Yeah.
La Jolla Playhouse and your work as a playwright.
Yeah, so I work as a playwright for the Old Globe too, but at the La Jolla Playhouse, I'm able to, I do mainly two classes. One is veterans playwright, so I love being able to teach people whose voices are typically not heard a lot. So when I get to work with the adult population, a lot of people are really concentrating on, let's do programs for kids, and I think that we should, but I don't want to forget about the adults who still have dreams in them, who still have words in them, who still have things going on. So to be able to teach those guys, it's been great. And then I do the summer conservatory with some awesome kids who have to really audition to get into this class, and I do a spoken word class with them. Sometimes I'll teach playwriting if they need me to, but I do a spoken word class with them, and to be able to expose them to some great work just all over, and see them really feel free through that process, because it's different, because it's like a several week-long process, and they every day they're there for like 6 hours taking all these different classes within the La Jolla Playhouse, and I'm one of those classes, so my class is different than all the rest of them, and to be able to expose them to great work, it's exciting.
There we go. And you've written screenplays as well. You wrote Joy's film, right?
History of Joy.
This film made it to Cannes and has been received several awards, right? Tell a little bit about that movie. Why should people watch it? What about Joy? What about Elaine?
Yeah. So so let me back up a little bit. I have been working with an organization called Made for Joy, and it's connected to TEDx because the head guy at TEDx San Diego, who started it all, his name is Jack Abbott, amazing individual. He started a company called Made for Joy, and Made for Joy was doing trips to different parts of outside of the country and just wherever, and they would fly in different speakers to speak about joy and everything. And I was one of those speakers, and I would do poetry workshops and everything like that for all the people who came. Well, one of those sessions, they brought in, right now it's escaping his name, but there was a guy who wrote the Book of Joy, and it was a conversation between Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama on their birthdays, and they just spoke for a week about the essence of joy, right? And again, going back to having to be commissioned to write something, so I had to study that book and then present a poem about joy for the author of that book, who's
Doug Abrams.
Doug Abrams, there you go. There you go. So I had to present, and he loved the poem and everything. So when Suzanne from Vanguard Culture, she said she wanted to do a film, and I had been working with her before for a while. She said, I want to do this idea of the history of joy came to me, and this is what I pitched to her, because she wanted to do something about uplifting people and everything, and the title came to me, and then we went off from there. So why should people watch it? So it's actually 4 different films, and we showcased them at 4 different times throughout the year, and then we also had other collaborators, people who had did documentaries or films or projects around that subject. So one was like social justice, one was like solely on women, one was on rites and rituals, you know, that we go through, and the other one was on the environment, right? So we got like for the premiere, and they're usually like about a half an hour each. We had different thought leaders and different people from San Diego community get on Zoom before we premiered it and show what they had to say about the subject, and then that's how it came out. And then we did a final one where we put all the films together. So it really just it's about finding joy through hard times. Like, how do people still find joy in what other people would say would be like really rough and challenging times? And I think this goes back to when I was in the Navy, because I wasn't a big partier or drinker. So when the guys need to get off the boat, they go straight to the bars and stuff. I wanted to take a cultural tour. I wanted to go ride an elephant. And the one thing that I realized, like, some places they didn't have toilet paper, and I was like, whoa. But the one thing I still saw was people laughing and enjoying themselves. You can find joy anywhere, just by like beating on a table and rapping over it, you know what I mean? So I was curious about how people did that in hard situations, which during the time I was writing it, it was during COVID, we're going through some hard situations. So that's what it's about, and that's what you're gonna find throughout that.
Yeah, I got, for me, the Whitmans line about I too contain multitudes, right?
Yes.
So all at once we can grieve and still find something joyful, a reason to carry on, a reason to live, right?
Yes.
And so we go back in our memories. When I asked you about who inspires you, you sent a poem that I think has a lot to do with these multitudes, these different ways of seeing the world and being able to go from a place of, hey man, this is a tough life, right?
Yeah.
To finding something beautiful.
Yes.
And the poem that you sent was by Anis Mojani.
Yeah.
Yeah, will you read this poem for us?
Yeah, sure. He is one of my absolute favorite poets. I saw him live when I was slamming for San Diego Slam Team, when I was doing slam poetry for them. And I knew nothing about him. And he did this poem, little short guy, just super powerful. Yeah, for all the short guys, and he just killed it. And so this is one of my favorite. I love almost all of his work, but this is one of the ones that I really enjoy. It's called "For Those Who Can Still Ride an Airplane for the First Time." I'm 35 years old, and I'm still trying to figure out what being a man means. I don't drink, fight, or love, but these days I find myself wanting to do all three.
I don't really have a favorite color anymore, but I did when I was a kid. And back then, that color was blue. And back then, I wanted to be an astronaut, an artist, an architect, a secret agent, a ranger for the World Wildlife Fund, and a hobo. And when I was 6 years old, I used to always throw my clothes into my blue and yellow Hot Wheels car-carrying suitcase and run away to beneath the dining room table. I've made out with more girls than I wish I've had, and not nearly as many as I'd like to. And I've been in love 3 times, so I doubt I'm gonna try that anymore. And I spend most days making pictures or thinking about making pictures or masturbating or thinking about masturbating. And I'm trying to find God everywhere and figure out this thing he made called a man. And the TV tells me that it's bare-knuckled bombing, so I guess if I had a tank or a missile, my penis would be huge, and that's what I want, because that's what being a man means, or at least that's what they keep telling me. My pops, he takes care of us. He puts the garbage out twice a week. He drives 45 minutes to water flowers. I sit on the bus when a 7-year-old boy sits down next to me and asks me my name. Anis. That's a nice name. Thank you. What's yours? Quentin. Anis, do you want to read Robin Hood with me? So tell me what my fists are writing, Mr. President. My fingers, they open up like gates when I type, and the wind is swinging in the wake, motherfucker. I lift bridges with poems, and forests grow in my mother's eyes. I am looking for God, Quentin. while this world says fuck you for trying. For this world hates your eyes, Quentin, for they are simple and pure. And this world hates your fingers, Quentin, little like the stems of flowers, for not being able to pick up the things that you have left behind because you are still learning to do so. I don't drink, fight, or fuck, but these days it's only 2 out of those 3 that I don't do, Quentin. And I fall in love 3 times, so I don't want to, but I still do, Quentin. And I want to find God in the morning in the tired hands of dusk, but instead I drive 60 through residential streets, praying to hit a child so that they may stay forever night and forever red and forever full of light and crayons and simple outstretched limbs, trying to pick up way too much, way too fast, forgetting what it means to be a person. In a world where egos are measured with tabloids, where automobiles are like morals, where beliefs are like naps, you leave them behind when somebody touches you. And in a place where oil takes precedence over life, I find myself sitting on a bus when a little boy floats down like fresh water, carrying a book that I used to read, and asks me if I want to see what he sees, if only for a little while. Then asks if I want to give to him what I see, if only for a little while. Then says to me he's going to show me the world, and starts moving his fingers beneath the words, not always noticing what is written, sometimes skipping whole sentences, sometimes skipping whole lines, because his fingers are moving faster than they're showing his eyes. And I want to tell him, slow down, Quentin. You can see it all if your finger whispers on one word, slow down. And hold what you see just a little bit longer. For in a world of
fast faces, I'm trying to figure out this thing he called a man.
Yeah, I like a good sense of humor in poetry,
Oh,
man. Yeah, you're very good at this. Like, even when you're talking about something that's political and true, you find a way to kind of play with words and ideas that will make a reader go, or a listener go, wow, you know, he gets it, and I'm with him. Or if the listener's not with you, they go, I like this, you know?
Yeah. It's just sugar on medicine.
Yeah, a little sugar on medicine, right? And then you do this thing where you take 2 opposites, right, and put them together. Like, you have a line that says, we are the bastard children of Miles Davis and Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It's just, we are, I'm in that line, I'm viewing Miles Davis as this kind of like underground. You're hip if you know him. You're. It's like he's the secret. Although he was very popular. But if you knew and really loved Miles Davis, you were with it, right? But then at the same time, you had Marilyn Monroe, who was like a pop icon, you know, and so we're like a mix in between them. You know, a lot of us are a mix in between that, like, underground, cool, you know, and dangerous, to this pop icon, supposed to be almost perfect person, and we find ourselves like in the middle of all that. That's why we say we're the bastard children, and they're not supposed to interact or be. But most of us, we like this underground stuff, and we like this like edgy stuff, and then we like this really like popped and polished things as well. And I feel like a lot of us are the bastard children of that in what we spit out.
And yeah, there's always a core you. Like, do you have a core you that you cannot remove from the equation when you write any poem?
I think humor is part of that. I think leading with love. I think wanting to feel better, like wanting to leave audiences feeling better once they've heard the poem than when I started. You know, like, I don't want to, and there's a place for it, but for me particularly, and there's some exceptions, I should say, but I don't really particularly want to, even if I'm talking about hard stuff, I don't want to depress people, you know, with my poetry. Again, nothing wrong with that. There is a place for that. It's just not my style. So I'll talk about deep stuff, but I try to find some kind of redemption within it. I try to find some kind of okay, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because, yeah, that's just my style.
Yeah, you wrote, I had no idea that the right to bear arms included pens. This century we will stand sentry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the writing process, you're not trying to bring the room to this heavy place where everybody goes, oh, that didn't feel so good, right? But you're also teaching in a way that they can be, I don't even know if is the word entertaining. What is the word? Like how do we say what needs to be said, but not drive the room to like, you know?
Well, entertain, and just like even in that. So I say, you know, who knew that the right to bear arms included pens? Because traditionally it's the pen that says, okay, we'll go to war. Okay, we're going to write this legislation. Okay, we're going to do whatever. You know, that's what hurt people like the most. And so I want to key in on the power of the pen being so pivotal. You see that alliteration? Being so pivotal to what is happening in our world. But then the next line, this century, we're gonna stand century. So it's like, okay, this is the next step. We're gonna fight for our people. We're gonna fight with love, and we're gonna take that next step. So it's not. I could have like ended it on that last line and be like, man, this is messed up, and then that's it. But now I'm saying. Okay, we've had a rough past. This is how we're going to move forward, and it's more of an energizing thing.
We are a country unfinished.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And the finishing part is to have these conversations in a way that we can carry on the conversation and then try to move that pen in the right direction. Huh?
But we are a country unfinished, but it's to me it's like being a parent. It's not anything that is ever going to be done.
Yeah.
You know, until both sides are gone. You know, you're always like, my mom still treats me as her little boy and asks me, do I need anything, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You know, and I'm in my 40s, so it's one of those things like people will always find something to fight for and try to correct and everything like that, which is fine. It's just part of the process. But, you know, we're in a lot better space than we were, 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah. I like your approach about family, about being a papa.
Yeah.
I dig it because I feel it. That's me too.
Yeah.
And you bring up grandma. Oh my gosh, man. The kids, I have 3 kids too.
Yeah.
And the first time all the kids were in grandma's arms, it was an instant love.
Yes.
Like there was no doubt. Like it crossed over some plane, something that you can't see, but it's felt.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, so will you read a poem for us?
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you brought that up because I didn't tell you what I was going to read. And the poem that I brought, one of the poems is about being a father.
All right. See?
You just knew.
Same psyche.
You knew.
Working together for so long, man. I missed that, by the way.
Yeah. We'll work together again.
Let's do it, yeah. Let's go.
So this poem, it had multiple titles. Now I'm usually just calling it Quicker Than a Kiss. And it speaks to how quickly, your kids grow up. It just happens like this. And I wrote it during the pandemic because I wanted to document the times that it was just all of us in the house and nobody was going out, and got to experience them a lot. Here you go. We'll never have this again. We will never have this again. You this small and me this strong, you impressed with my ability to simply walk into a room, to turn my legs into animated trees you can swing from, to reach things on the top shelf, to pee standing up. I build toy kingdoms that you are expert at Godzillaing your way through. I throw you high into the blue of the afternoon and never miss your descent. Well, just that once, but we ain't telling mama about that, right? All right. We'll never have this again. You believing that police helicopters over our house are the coolest thing. Me knowing that they are looking for things that I never want to see. You believing that asphalt and sidewalks bump and dip and crack like ours. Me knowing that houses are supposed to have bumps and dips and cracks like ours. Me knowing that 5 to 10 pay grades west, they got streets smoother than a politician's promise. Me promising to get you there someday. Telling you that our rough roads are simply part of the adventure. You believing me. You always believing me. We will never have this again. Me pouring sugar on truth, sugar on your skin. You cinnamon baby girl, pure cinnamon. You caramel little man, daddy's hungry. Give me that baby toe to gobble right up. Where are you going? Rawr. Fatherhood is a contract, unwritten, with ink that never dries, with a language vastly open to interpretation, on paper, still alive. We are a testament to eternity. Although I will need multiple mental health breaks, it's gonna take more than that tantrum of yours to make me ever want to leave your side. It is my job to make sure that you inherit less emotional baggage than I had to carry, or at the very least, better prepare you. I take this love seriously, how dangerous this world is seriously, how beautiful this world can be when we have fun taking it seriously, and we only have these brief moments to get all of this done. So on the days I squeeze you longer and tighter than your boundless energy will entertain, just allow me this quiet vulnerability for a moment. We will never have this exact us again. Let's go to the place where you don't hurt and I don't work. The place in the picture that we love that freezes the sunlight on our faces and the youth in our bodies. Pause that part of the video in the middle of your dance, mid-thrust, mid-air, off-beat, the indivisible, undeniable you and me. And I know we can't stay here forever, little one. Even in this digital age, we get lost in the hard drives of our need for individual ambitions. But for this moment, little one, I'm pretending time passed us by like turtle-shaped clouds you like to point out. And now, I'm gonna gobble them little toes right up. Ugh. How long will you long for me to be your monster? How long will it take for you to find the sword of puberty and consider me a monster? How many mistakes do I get in raising you, in disappointing your mother? What if I just say no? You are not allowed to leave this moment, to grow into another body, to get too heavy to lift over the crowd so that you could see what is coming, so that the only thing you have to deal with is your imagination. And that's still filled with furry neon and sweet things that make your mouth and your hands sticky. And I got backpacks full of several diaper bags and several diaper bags full of sugar. And not that sweet and low stuff either. I'm talking pure cane sugar, sugar on truth, sugar on your skin. You cinnamon baby girl, pure sweet spicy cinnamon. And I want you to yell that to any insecurity that questions you. You caramel little man, daddy's hungry. Give me that disillusionment to gobble right up. Kids, we don't have to leave this castle until we want to, okay? Let's just sit here and pretend time forgot us.
In the same way, mom, grandma see you as baby, you're gonna see the babies as babies.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just wait until they get in their car by themselves and drive down the road and turn a corner.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
you're standing there watching. Yeah. Oh, man. All at once, they made it. They got here and break your heart.
That'll be okay. I'll have a tracker on them.
Right. The phone, yeah.
You're right.
All right. Hey, what's coming up? What do you got coming next? What do you want people to know about?
Oh, wow. There's a few things. My book through Garden Oaks Press is going to be released this year. Excited about that. I got commissioned to write a play for Classical Kids Live. It's an organization out of Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling the story of Joseph Boulogne, the Chevalier. He was a black French composer, one of the first recognized black French composer, came out before Mozart, and he was like the premier. He's half black, half white, was born a slave, and he has an amazing story. They're actually making a movie out of his life this year, and so they commissioned me to write a play detailing his life, right, but it's for families. Mm-hmm. And so it's funny, it's sweet, it's hard, and it's going to be touring around the country and in Canada with different symphonies. So the symphony is going to play the music while the play is going on. So that's happening towards the end of this year and then into 2024. Hopefully it comes to San Diego. I will be. I have a play that I wrote coming out called Sans Country. We just did the reading for it like 2 nights ago, so I'm going to be first time producing it solely by myself, but I'll be trying to raise some money or getting some sponsors and stuff to do that. It's a story about black soldiers in Vietnam. I'm just excited about a lot of things, and hopefully I have this one-man show that I'm planning on doing. It'll come out this year as well.
Great.
So.
And where can people find you? GillSotu.com?
GillSotu.com
All
is the
that
best
projects?
place.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And then you can always look at YouTube clips, yeah?
YouTube clips,
Yeah,
anything, yeah.
Yeah, check it out. Gil, man, it's good to be together. I love you,
Yes.
brother.
I love you too,
We've been doing
man.
this for a long time.
Yeah.
And we have to get together and do something fun.
Yes.
You know, do something meaningful for the genre, for the community.
Yes.
I want to thank Malcolm X Library for giving us a space, Central Library, the city, and we're going to be getting out and about town. So
Yeah.
that's going to be great. San Diego Snapcast, thank you for all the hard work, the editing, and all the filming. And Gil, once again, thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.